Hi, this is Andrew Abrams from RECUR360 and our division Implement Inventory. With our Implement Inventory division, we consult on Locate Inventory's software for inventory management and order and logistics. And as part of RECUR360, we have our own platform for invoicing and payment automation. So for customers that use QuickBooks Online with Locate and do wholesale invoicing to their customers after products have shipped, they can add RECUR360 on the back end to then email out the invoices for the customers and allow those wholesale customers to pay you either based on their terms or on immediate that they owe you upon shipment. So inside of your Locate, you're going to go ahead and log in, and this should already be connected to QuickBooks Online as part of your setup. And a couple of things we want to make sure that are occurring with your QuickBooks Online integration is that under your invoice settings, you are including the default invoice report with credit memos and the default invoice report with invoices. And that's so that the Locate PDF gets posted into QuickBooks Online on the transaction. And then in QuickBooks Online, you're going to want to go to your App Center and search for RECUR360 and sign up. So you can do Get App Now. Or if you're already connected to RECUR360, you would just go to your apps and then go ahead and launch RECUR360. So then inside of RECUR360, we're going to want to create a couple settings or enable a couple of settings so that we can set up the appropriate workflow for when a Locate customer and invoice come over. What do we want to do with that? What automation do we want to create? So inside of RECUR, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go to our account settings. And inside of the account settings, under our Open Invoice Sync, we want to create an automation that we want to automatically send an invoice email if the invoice is unpaid. And by definition, if Locate is sending an invoice into QuickBooks, then it is unpaid. And we want to limit that to only our wholesale customers. So inside of QuickBooks Online and RECUR360, we have a customer type. And therefore, any customers that you create in Locate that are going to be wholesale customers, once they get pushed into QuickBooks Online, you're going to want to set a customer type of wholesale. And then another automation is going to be to email them every day, starting one day after their due date. So whatever the due date is of the invoice set by the terms on the invoice, we're going to send them an initial email when the invoice comes in, and then we're going to send a reminder email if they don't pay you via the due date. So the Open Invoice Sync settings are located under RECUR360's settings and account. And there's a few other settings in here if you're going to charge processing fees and things like that. But as it's related to Locate, these are the important settings here. So we're going to go ahead and save that. And now we're going to go to our email settings. And down in our email settings, we have a section for invoice settings, and we have a section for RECUR360 PDF settings. For the invoice settings, the options that we're going to want to select are, first of all, click here if you would like to hide item name codes from invoice lines in emails and PDFs and only show descriptions. And then click here if you would like to completely hide invoice lines from the email that gets sent and only include them on the PDF that's attached. As well as click here if you would like to hide the sales tax field. Click here if you would like to hide the RECUR360 invoice number. Click here if you would like to show the current open invoice balance on the customer account. And then click here if you would like payment failure emails to include a reason why the payment failed. And what these do is basically disable RECUR360 from when we send the invoice out showing any of the summary line items related to the locate PDF. We basically just want to send an email to from QuickBooks related to QuickBooks Online from locate that just shows what they owe you along with the locate PDF. Okay. Then we have a QuickBooks Online attachment section. And in QuickBooks Online attachment section, we want to say we want to include all QuickBooks attachments with emails. That's so that any attachments that locate feeds into QuickBooks Online passes through into our system. Our next setting is under RECUR360 PDF settings. Underneath here, we're going to want to check, do not include the RECUR PDF with emails, because we don't want to send our own PDF. And you could say, check here if you'd like to show the current open invoice balance for the customer on any PDFs they receive. So you can leave that unchecked. So I know there's a few settings here, but if you follow these and this one, then our automation is set up the way that we're going to want to do it. And then obviously, if you're going to allow for paying online under invoice link settings, we want to show the invoice link on emails. We want to allow people to automatically store their payment information and so on. Okay, and so these are just other automations in RECUR. So we're going to go ahead and save this. So now I'm going to go into locate and we're just going to set up a new customer. Okay, in the default settings, we're also going to put in an email address. Actually, we'll put in a different one. And we're going to set these to net 15 payment terms. Okay, so we'll save this customer. And one of the settings then under custom in locate is, do we want to set a class when transactions get created? So we want any transactions with this customer to go to the wholesale class. And then we do want to sync this customer with our QuickBooks Online. So by doing this, if we then go into our ledger and locate, and we go ahead and run a sync with QuickBooks Online, this is going to send that customer over to QuickBooks. So you just saw on here, it's syncing one customer. So if we go into our QuickBooks Online now and go to sales and go to customers, we're now going to see ABA Consulting in here as a customer. And one additional thing we need to do is we have to assign a customer type. So we're going to edit this customer, go to additional info and say they're part of the wholesale customer type group. And as you can see, they've got net 15. Now on the next sync that RECUR runs, which basically runs twice a day, 6 a.m. and 6 p.m., it'll bring that account over, or you can also do a sync data. And this will bring over any new customers or changes with customers, as well as any new transactions related to those customers. So while we're syncing data, we can go into our customer section, and now we see ABA Consulting in here, and we see my email address, as well as that we're part of the customer type of wholesale. Okay. So now what we're going to do is go into locate and create a new transaction under that customer. So inside of the customer, we're just going to go to actions and create a sales order. We're going to copy the shipping from the billing and update the customer. We're going to say we're going to ship it FedEx ground. Okay, and they have net 15 terms. And let's just go add a bunch of items. That's fine. Let's go check our inventory. All right, and we'll just leave it as $12. So we'll go ahead and we'll issue the sales order. Let's go check our inventory and see what we have. We have 13 on hand and there are 7 available to pick, so that's good. So I'm going to go into our picking module. And we're going to go ahead and create this pick, go to the pick, commit that, finish our pick. I'm going to go pack the order. We're going to go put it into our generic box. And inside of this, we'll just set the length, the width, the height, unit of measure, and weight. And then we would send all this information into our ship station. So I'm just going to act as if we're packing and shipping it directly in ship station, and then it would write back a shipment. We have a separate video on that. So on here, we're just going to put in a tracking number and a cost. Okay. Finish that shipment. And then at the end of the day, when the carrier comes, we're going to go do a pickup and locate. The pickup and locate then is what will complete the sales order, okay, once locate issues its own invoice number. So right now we're in a pending issuance state. And as soon as this is done processing in the background, this will show as issued, and there's going to be a balance due on this invoice. So we'll just give that a second or so to process. Refresh our screen here. Okay, we now see that's completed. And this invoice is almost done pending issuance and locate. So what's happening in the background is locate is then queuing that order into its ledger. And in a moment, we'll see that there's an invoice waiting to post over to QuickBooks Online. The purpose of what we're trying to solve here is to automate that when an invoice goes to QBO, that RECUR360 then picks it up and emails it back to the customer with a pay online link. Currently, locate doesn't allow customers to pay online. So the payment either has to originate in your front end shopping cart or has to originate inside of locate, either at the time of the sales order, or you have to process the payments on the invoice after it ships. But if customers have terms, then they're going to pay you after the fact, and that's what we're showing here. So that invoice is now generated in locate, and all we need to do is sync that into QuickBooks Online. So when that goes into QuickBooks Online, we're going to see it in the invoices section here. And here's that invoice, 1183. And if we go edit that invoice in QuickBooks Online, we see that it just has summary information on it, okay? The balance due. And in the bottom of QuickBooks Online is the locate PDF, okay? So this is what gets sent into QuickBooks Online. So now inside of RECUR, what will happen is when the next sync happens with RECUR, we're gonna bring that invoice over, and we're going to automatically send that customer their invoice to pay. So I'm going to go into RECUR and I'm just going to manually run a sync data. Again, we automatically do this at 6 a.m. and 6 p.m. So at 6 p.m. it would handle all the invoices throughout the day. At 6 a.m. it would handle any invoicing that happened after the 6 p.m. cutoff. But you can also do this manual data sync. And then if we go into our ABA consulting customer, soon enough, we'll see that invoice pull into our system. We can also see it under the Invoice Center. So we can see that this was synced in from QuickBooks. So in a moment, we will see that one as well. And when it syncs it in, we're going to do a couple things. We're going to automatically email it out. So if we go back to our Customer Center and we go to ABA Consulting, we now see that invoice in our system. Okay. And again, this is just passing over the data that locate sent into QBO, but this is not what we want the customer to see. If we go look in our reporting section, we're going to see it in our invoice history report. So if we look at invoices that came in from QuickBooks as well, We're going to see that here. And if we go look at our email history report, we'll see that that has been queued to email out or will be queued to email out once we process our jobs. Now, if we want to email that out immediately, all we have to do is go back into that customer, go to that invoice, and we can just go say, you know, let's go ahead and just schedule that invoice to email out immediately. And we'll click OK there. So I'm just going to go ahead and log into my Office 365. And obviously, Office 365 has multi-factor authentication, 247-891. Go ahead and log into my email. Okay. So now this is the email that the customer will receive from RECUR360. And as you can see, it just has a total balance on it. But attached to that is the locate invoice. So locate wrote the invoice into QBO with the locate invoice as an attachment. And then we sync that into RECUR. And what RECUR sends out then is an invoice with that attachment. And just saying, here's your balance due. And then the customer can click here to view or pay your open invoices. So now they're inside of our payment portal. And this invoice is already checked. And now they can go ahead and continue to payment. And they can pay via credit card or they can pay via ACH. Now you notice in our system, we have convenience fees. So if the customer wants to pay you via ACH, there is no convenience fee. If they want to pay you via credit card, it's letting them know there's going to be a 2.9% convenience fee for 38 cents on this particular transaction. The customer can store their payment for auto pay. And what that means is if they click this, then any invoices that come over in the future will automatically pay on their due date. So I'm going to go ahead and enter in a credit card and process a payment. And then what we'll be able to do is see how that flows back into locate. So give me just one moment to grab my credit cards for this purpose. And we'll say this expires in October of 2024. Okay, and we'll go ahead and submit this. And this is just prompting you to okay the charge. Okay, the selected invoice was successfully paid for. So this no longer shows as an open invoice. It now shows in RECUR360 as a past invoice. And the customer could resend themselves that invoice if they want to. If we go look at my email now, we are going to see two emails, one for updating the payment method, and then another saying your invoice is now paid. Okay, and if we again preview the locate PDF, that just shows the total that was on it. And then ours just has the additional processing fee added to it. All right, so that invoice is paid. If we go look at it in QuickBooks Online, we'll now see that it's paid. So the next time that locate syncs with QBO, if we go look at the invoice here, this shows it's still issued in locate with a balance due. And now if we go run our ledger sync, while that's running, we'll see that this comes back in as paid. And then if we go look at the payments, it'll say that it was paid in QuickBooks Online. So to recap, You can add on the RECUR360 automated invoicing and payment platform onto your QuickBooks Online, which would be connected to your Locate, to automate collections and payment processing for any invoices for wholesale customers that you generate in Locate that you want to have the customer pay you after the fact of the shipment and invoice being generated. If you have any questions on this, you can go to our website, recur360.com, or our implementinventory.com website. We have tutorials related to Shopify and Locate, or general overview of Locate, and then we'll have this one posted here. And if you need any help, you can just get on our live chat. Thank you for your time today.